Well, my father was an extraordinary man. First, he was very talented. I can understand how the racism affected him, because had he not been for the racism, there's nothing that he would not have been able to accomplish. Very bright, good at mathematics, self-trained really. He was a stonemason, he was a carpenter, he was a fabulous, extraordinary gardener, and when I say gardener and landscaper, and he was also a formidable looking man, tall, strong. There was one time a fellow white man, big, strong, tough white man, told me once, he said, "I know your father." He said, "Your father was the strongest man in Clearfield County." And I believe that, because I saw him do things that he was extraordinary. But he was also a very disciplined person. He used to, in my years, he used to be on me a lot for not being more disciplined in my work. He used to argue that, I used to say to him, "Well, we don't work the same way. I'm what you call a person who does a lot of things with one big burst of energy." And my father said that was foolish. He said that it's not what you do with any one burst on any one day, in any one moment. It's what you're disciplined to do day after day after day. And that's how you are able to accomplish things. And as I grew older, of course, I learned that what I was saying was foolish, and what my father was saying was indeed a recipe for success. My father was also, and maybe foremost, he was a very strong family man. With him and with my mother, the family came first, no matter what. They were hard-working people. But one of the things my father said, I heard him say this a number of times, that they never left their children alone. He said no matter what he and my mom had to do, they always made sure that if one of them had to go somewhere to whatever they had to do, that when one was going, the other was coming, because they never would leave the children alone. And I understand that, because when the region of Pennsylvania that they migrated to, it was virtually an all-white area. And so I'm sure that in those early years that they were out there, there were many threatening things to their children, and their children were very precious for them. In part also, I think that's because we were a family of 10, but the first 4 in a row died. And the 5th child, the doctors had told them, the way they tell it to me, was that the 5th child, the doctor gave up on her, said she would be dead by morning. And on the morning that she was supposed to, that the doctors predicted that she would die, that her life would end, she got better. And from that day, maybe for the next 70 years, over 70 years, there was no one else in our family that got even seriously ill. We had a really wonderful, long, remarkable run. And my father, of course, he lived out to be 104, and my mother made it to 100, right to 100. But they both had different journeys to 100. My father, he went up the, it was just a wonderful experience. I was really at the high point of my career as a newspaperman when my father was going from 90 to 100. So I used to go all over and tell these stories about this remarkable man who was my family, and they used to have classes from the schools, the local schools, to come and talk to him, because when he was you know, my father was 95 years old, and he looked like a guy who was about 65 or 70. And all of his life, his memory was sharp. He didn't, you know, there really wasn't, well, he didn't have any ailments. When he got older, I remember he began to have trouble with arthritis, but aside from that, you know, he really didn't have a lot of problems. He had remarkable health, but they were country people. You know, he grew his own vegetables, and my mother used to can them, and we had our own little store in the ground level of our house. Was called the storeroom, that they used to can and have all these things that we were really eating. Not just that we were eating fresh things, but everything that I ate as a child, almost everything, I not only knew where it came from, but I knew everything that was on it. I knew there were no kinds of toxic fertilizers or anything, because my father understood those dangers and made sure that we didn't have to deal with that. So he was really, he was quite a person.